Welcome to Ryan Reynolds, the evolution of a wisecracking Canadian who turned charm into cash flow. This is the blueprint of his career. And yes, we'll follow the money. Career starts at 17. Net worth, roughly 20 grand. First gig, Ordinary Magic. He had some minor TV appearances before, but this was his first real role in an actual movie. It was a small indie about peace and karma, not exactly Deadpool-level chaos. Budget was tiny. Paycheck even tinier, about $9,000. But hey, every hero's journey starts with a humble montage, right? Then came Serving in Silence in '95, a TV movie which was basically Ryan's way of saying, "I'm still here, Hollywood." It was earnest, serious, and about as far from his future snarky self as possible. He probably made enough for a decent used car. A year later, he popped up in Sabrina the Teenage Witch. Not the series you remember, but the original TV movie pilot. Yep, before Melissa Joan Hart became a household name, Reynolds was there, doing his awkwardly charming thing. 10 grand paycheck, priceless exposure. 1997. The Alarmist didn't exactly ring any bells. A dark comedy no one really saw, but it gave him some indie cred. Budget around $5 million. Box office peanuts. Ryan's cut $35,000. Let's just say not all alarms are worth answering. Coming soon in 1999, and ironically, almost nobody noticed when it arrived. A limited release teen sex comedy that earned $5,000 total. Yep, not even enough to cover catering. But Reynolds, still hustling. 40 grand in the bank and another IMDb credit. Then came Dick. And no, not like that. It's a political satire about Watergate. Ryan had a supporting role, and even though the movie bombed, he was building that Hollywood resume one flop at a time. 50,000 paycheck. Not bad for a guy still finding his niche. In Bolt Neck, he played a high school Frankenstein's monster. Straight to video, and it shows, but it was another step forward, and a six-figure paycheck for the first time. Then came a real turning point. 2 guys, a girl, and a pizza place. Finally, something that stuck. A hit TV show from '98 to 2001 that made him a household name, and the sarcastic everyman we'd all come to love. Around 200 grand in total. 2001's finder's fee was a neat little thriller, written and directed by Jeff Probst, the Survivor guy. Seriously. Reynolds starred in it, but it went straight to video again. 100 grand paycheck though, which is basically keep the dream alive money in Hollywood terms. And finally, Van Wilder in 2002, the moment Ryan Reynolds became Ryan Reynolds. Budget of $5 million, made almost $40 million, a certified hit. This was his Ferris Bueller moment, his breakout, his start of becoming the guy. And with an $800,000 payday, he could finally afford to stop pretending he liked pizza commercials. After Van Wilder, Ryan kept the party going with Buying the Cow, another romantic comedy that nobody actually bought. It went straight to video, but hey, he made a cool $250,000. Then came The In-Laws in 2003, teaming up with Michael Douglas. Big studio, big budget, big flop, $40 million spent, barely half earned back. Still, Ryan's paycheck, $750,000. Wasn't exactly in-law material anymore. The man was moving up. In Foolproof, he tried his hand at a Canadian heist flick. Sounds promising, right? Sadly, it stole no hearts or box office dollars. Made less than $1 million worldwide, but at least Reynolds pocketed $350,000 and got to practice his future Deadpool-level sarcasm with fake explosives. And then, blink and you'll miss him. A cameo in Harold and Kumar Go to White Castle. Yeah, that's right. The man who'd one day become Deadpool briefly wandered through a stoner comedy. 30 grand for what's basically a pop culture Easter egg. Now, Blade Trinity. The moment Ryan officially entered the superhero chat, sharing the screen with Wesley Snipes, flexing those abs like his life depended on it. The movie underperformed, but it proved one thing. Ryan Reynolds looked like a comic book hero. That $1.5 million paycheck? Maybe the gym membership alone cost half that. School of Life was a TV movie about an inspiring teacher. Sweet, wholesome, and totally ignored. Still, $125K for a heartwarming Hallmark moment. Not bad. The Amityville Horror in 2005, and suddenly Ryan was scary good. Literally. The movie was a hit, making over $100 million, and gave him his first taste of true box office power. A $1.1 million paycheck to scream in a haunted house? That's what I call killer returns. He followed it with Waiting, a low-budget comedy about restaurant life. Basically, Van Wilder with food poisoning. It made 6 times its budget and became a cult favorite. 400 grand for wisecracks and crude jokes. Money well earned. Just Friends. Reynolds in a fat suit, falling for his high school crush. It's charming, ridiculous, and a bit underrated. $30 million budget, $50 million return. Not exactly Titanic, but solid. His salary hit $1.3 million, proof that even rom-coms can be profitable cardio. Smokin' Aces in 2006. Action, chaos, and more bullets than plot. The movie was a moderate hit, but Ryan held his own against a wild cast. $500,000 paycheck, tons of explosions, and the kind of role that said, "I'm not just the funny guy anymore." By the time 2006 rolled around, Reynolds had turned 30 and was stepping into a new decade of his life. With a few solid hits behind him and almost $3 million to his name, the foundation was set for something big. 2007's The Nines was one of those weird indie mindbenders where you're not sure what's real, who's acting, or if you're accidentally high. Ryan played 3 versions of himself: actor, writer, god. Take your pick. It made almost nothing, but it showed he wasn't afraid to get weird for art's sake. Chaos Theory. Fitting title since no one really saw it. A comedy drama about time, chance, and missed opportunities. It barely made $500,000 at the box office, but Ryan's paycheck was solid. Sometimes you win awards, sometimes you pay your rent. 2008 definitely maybe was where things got romantic and respectable. A sweet, smart rom-com with political undertones, and at least a semi-hit. $56 million box office, great reviews, and Ryan proving he could charm without crude jokes. Basically, the Notting Hill of his career. That same year, he tried family drama with Fireflies in the Garden, alongside Julia Roberts. A quiet, emotional movie that deserved better than its tiny $7 million gross. But it showed his dramatic chops, and maybe made everyone cry a little, including the accountants. Next up, Adventureland, one of those coming-of-age gems that critics love and audiences discover years later on streaming. Reynolds played the cool older guy with a dark side, the anti-Van Wilder, really. Under $10 million budget, modest return, but artistic win. And now the big one, X-Men Origins Wolverine, the debut of Deadpool. Well, kind of. The version we don't talk about. Fans hated it, but it made almost $375 million. Ryan got $4.5 million to swing katanas and crack jokes that didn't land. We all have career regrets. This one just wears spandex. 2009 also gave us The Proposal, opposite Sandra Bullock, a rom-com phenomenon. $317 million worldwide and Reynolds' biggest paycheck yet at $12 million. This was the moment he went from that funny guy to full-fledged movie star. America officially fell in love. Paperman came next, and it was strange. Reynolds played an imaginary superhero who helps Jeff Daniels through a midlife crisis. Yeah, it's as indie as it sounds. The film made $15,000 total, as a limited release. Basically a rounding error, but he got $300K, so imaginary friends do pay off. And then he was buried in 2010, literally one of the boldest moves of his career. 90 minutes of Ryan Reynolds trapped in a coffin. No explosions, no co-stars, just pure acting and claustrophobia. It made over $20 million on a $3 million budget. That's how you bury expectations. After being buried, he dug himself even deeper with Green Lantern, the $200 million disaster that broke him and eventually made him. His biggest budgeted movie ever, adjusted to inflation, and also his biggest paycheck up to that point at $24 million. And of course, his lowest IMDb rating ever. Critics roasted it, fans cringed. And Ryan? He married Blake Lively and turned the whole fiasco into Deadpool jokes. That's called a long game. After Green Lantern, Reynolds needed a reset, and the change-up was his first swing. Body swap comedy with Jason Bateman, rated 6.3 on IMDb, which feels generous. The movie barely broke even, but it gave Ryan another solid $8 million payday. When life gives you box office lemons, make margaritas. Safe House in 2012, his first real action thriller that worked. Denzel Washington, guns, explosions, the whole Bourne-style package. It grossed over $200 million worldwide, making Ryan officially bankable again. $10 million and 0 green suits this time. Progress. In 2013, he lent his voice to the Croods. And finally, a blockbuster. Nearly $600 million at the box office. Reynolds voicing a caveman who invents curiosity? Ironically fitting. It proved he didn't need his face on screen to earn big. $4.2 million for just talking is peak evolution. So he talked some more in Turbo, a snail who dreams of being fast because Hollywood will literally greenlight anything with an engine. Another decent hit, $282 million global and $4 million for Ryan. Not bad for basically playing a motivational mollusk. But 2013 also gave us R.I.P.D., a supernatural buddy cop flop that tried to be Men in Black and ended up Men in Beige. Critics buried it, audiences ghosted it, and Ryan still walked away with $10 million. That's what you call hazard pay. He went indie again with The Voices in 2014, a dark comedy about a guy who talks to his pets and takes their advice to kill people. Yeah, not family-friendly. The film tanked, but it became a cult favorite and reminded everyone that Reynolds can act. $1 million for getting weird again. He followed up with a cameo in A Million Ways to Die in the West, Seth MacFarlane's cowboy comedy where Ryan appears just long enough to die, literally. $100,000 for a split-second death gag. That's Hollywood efficiency right there. The Captive, another dark thriller, didn't do him many favors, barely made back $2 million, though he pocketed $750,000. But at this point, Reynolds wasn't chasing hits. He was rebuilding credibility, one moody Canadian film at a time. Mississippi Grind in 2015 was a small, gambling drama that critics loved, even if audiences ignored it. Just $500,000 at the box office, but it showed Ryan's indie chops again. $1,200,000 paycheck, but a big win for artistic street cred. Woman in Gold, 2015 again, a classy historical drama with Helen Mirren. Great reviews, solid box office, and Reynolds showing he could do prestige films, not just punchlines. $2 million for playing a lawyer who actually reads contracts. In 2015, Selfless tried to go deep, sci-fi meets philosophy. Ben Kingsley swaps bodies with Ryan Reynolds, and somehow, both lose. The movie flopped hard, but Ryan pocketed $4 million. Not bad for a film that proved cloning talent isn't as easy as it looks. Then came Deadpool, 2016. The one, the legend, the R-rated superhero flick that nobody believed would work, until it made almost $800 million. A $58 million budget turned into over $1 billion adjusted, and Reynolds scored $22 million plus eternal pop culture glory, his highest-rated film, and his ultimate middle finger to Green Lantern. Of course, he followed that up with Criminal, a thriller where he dies in the first 10 minutes, and Kevin Costner inherits his memories. It bombed, but at least Reynolds barely had to show up. $300,000 for a cameo? That's peak efficiency. Reynolds hit the big 4-0 in 2016, older, sharper, and with almost $50 million to his name. After years of grind and a few legendary flops, the stage was finally set for him to prove that midlife crises can actually be blockbuster material. Life in 2017, a sci-fi horror that looked suspiciously like Alien with millennials. Reynolds was great, the alien was terrifying, and the box office was fine. $3.3 million paycheck for proving he can still die beautifully in space. Next up, The Hitman's Bodyguard. Reynolds and Samuel L. Jackson trading insults, explosions, and F-bombs. It made nearly $200 million, turning a mid-budget action flick into a surprise hit. $12 million paycheck and a sequel guarantee. 2018's Deadpool 2 took everything fans loved and cranked it to 11. Bigger budget, bigger earnings, even bigger self-deprecation. $786 million global box office, $35 million payday. Ryan officially became the world's highest-paid smartass. Once Upon a Deadpool came right after, a PG-13 remix of Deadpool 2 with new scenes and a Princess Bride parody. Made over $50 million for charity, and his pay was rolled into the main film. Proof that Reynolds can make fun of censorship and profit from it. Pokémon Detective Pikachu, where Reynolds voiced Pikachu like a caffeinated noir detective. It sounded insane, but it worked. Nearly $500 million at the box office and $13 million for talking like a tiny yellow crime fighter. A wild success, literally. He popped up briefly in Hobbs & Shaw, trading barbs with The Rock, a hilarious cameo that earned him $500,000. Because at this point, studios will literally pay him just to show up and talk trash. 6 Underground, Netflix's massive action movie with Michael Bay explosions and zero script logic. Critics hated it. Viewers streamed it anyway, and Reynolds took home $27 million. Not every project needs a soul. Sometimes it just needs car chases and a giant paycheck. 2020 brought The Croods, a new age, proving even prehistoric families can survive a pandemic, in theaters and at home. The sequel crushed expectations, earning over $200 million. Reynolds voiced Guy again and made $6 million doing it. That's how you evolve and collect some easy money. Hitman's Wife's Bodyguard, bigger, louder, and somehow dumber than the first. Critics sighed, audiences shrugged, and it flopped. But Ryan walked away with $12 million, which softens the blow of any bad Rotten Tomatoes score. Next up, Free Guy. Reynolds plays a video game NPC who realizes he's in a simulation. Basically, The Truman Show meets Fortnite. A massive hit, over $300 million box office, and $35 million in his pocket. Proof that being self-aware can literally pay off. Then he teamed up with The Rock and Gal Gadot for Red Notice, Netflix's probably most expensive movie ever at $200 million, and one of its most streamed. Reynolds scored $20 million in global exposure without the big screen. The Adam Project followed, another Netflix sci-fi hit where he meets his younger self and cries in zero gravity. Family-friendly, heartfelt, and totally rewatchable. 15 million paycheck and another producing credit. Reynolds wasn't just starring in movies anymore, he was building an empire. He even popped up briefly in Bullet Train, just long enough to troll his buddy Brad Pitt. $500,000 for a literal blink-and-you-miss-it cameo. Reynolds-level efficiency at its finest. His next gig was Spirited in 2022, a massive Apple TV Plus musical with Will Ferrell, a modern Christmas carol full of singing, dancing, and budget excess. $200 million spent, $20 million for Ryan, and probably a lifetime of cardio regret. In Ghosted, he showed up for another cameo because at this point, it's tradition. $300,000 for a few minutes on screen. The man's cameos are like rare, random, and somehow worth a fortune. 2024 brought IF, a heartfelt family film. Not a blockbuster, but charming, and it reminded everyone he can balance heart with humor. 18 million paycheck. And finally, Deadpool and Wolverine, the long-awaited reunion, the multiverse madness, the cinematic redemption arc completed, $1.3 billion at the box office, and a record-breaking $50 million paycheck, his highest-grossing film ever, and the perfect full-circle moment. From ordinary magic to Marvel's mouthiest mutant, Ryan Reynolds didn't just survive Hollywood, he hacked it. Fast forward to today, Ryan Reynolds stands as one of Hollywood's most bankable stars, with an estimated net worth of about $350 million. He mixed career chaos with charisma and turned it into compound interest. And if that's not the blueprint for thriving in Hollywood, I don't know what is. Wow, you're still here? That means you enjoyed the show. So how about another ride? The next one might just blow your mind.